Ethan's ship hummed quietly as it descended through the thick purple clouds of the distant planet. Below him, the terrain stretched endlessly, rolling fields of shimmering grass and forests that sparkled faintly under the planet's strange sun. His heart raced with a mix of excitement and caution. This was a world no human had ever set foot on, a place untouched and full of mysteries. He had been sent as part of the Intergalactic Exploration Corps, tasked with making first contact with alien life, and now he was here. As his ship touched down softly on a flat clearing, Ethan unstrapped himself and stepped outside. The air was surprisingly breathable, tinged with a sweet floral scent. He adjusted his visor and scanned the surroundings. Tiny, glowing shapes flitted among the trees. At first he thought they were fireflies, but as he squinted, he realized they were small creatures with large eyes that reflected the sunlight like miniature mirrors. Suddenly, he heard a voice. Not in words, but a soft melodic chime inside his mind. "Human, feed our children, and we will give you a gift." Only when night falls, Ethan froze. He looked around, trying to find the source of the voice. His eyes fell upon a group of small beings emerging from the trees. They were delicate, barely waist-high, with translucent skin that glowed faintly like a soft lantern. Their eyes were enormous, warm, and intelligent. They did not speak aloud, but their gestures were clear. They were asking for help. Cautiously, Ethan stepped closer. I'm Ethan," he said aloud. "I can help. Tell me. What do you need?" One of the smaller beings floated closer. It raised its tiny hand toward him, pointing toward a cluster of similar creatures, children sitting on a bed of soft moss. They looked weak, fragile, and hungry. Ethan understood immediately. They needed food. He opened his ship's supply compartment and brought out nutrient packs and hydrogel. Slowly, he began offering them to the children. The small creatures hesitated at first, but the sight of Ethan's kind and gentle hands encouraged them. They nibbled at the packs, their tiny bodies glowing brighter with every bite. As Ethan worked, he observed the children more closely. Despite their frailty, there was a keen intelligence in their eyes. Some were already trying to imitate his movements, while others seemed to communicate silently with one another. It was unlike anything he had ever seen on Earth. These children were not just beings, they were advanced, capable, and extraordinarily sensitive to their environment. While feeding the children, Ethan noticed the elders of the village approaching. They were taller, almost human-sized, with the same glowing skin but with sharper features and more intricate patterns of light moving across their bodies. Their expressions were solemn yet hopeful. They surrounded Ethan in a quiet, respectful circle. "You honor us," one of the elders said, their voice soft but resonating inside his mind. "You choose to care for our young. This is rare, even among your kind." Ethan nodded, unsure of what else to say. He had never encountered a species that communicated telepathically, let alone one that relied on compassion as a test of character. He felt a strange warmth spread through him. Despite being far from Earth, despite the vast distance from humanity, he felt a connection, an understanding that no matter the species, caring for the young was a universal duty. The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold. The glowing creatures became brighter as the dim light wrapped around the forest, their luminescence creating a gentle aura over the clearing. Ethan could feel the anticipation in the air. The elders had mentioned a gift, something that would appear when night fell, but they had given no details. His curiosity grew, though he also felt a subtle tension, as if the planet itself held its breath. Ethan decided to explore a bit while the children rested. He walked among the glowing trees, noticing the patterns of light that seemed to guide him. Some trees shimmered with soft blue veins, while others pulsed with gentle orange. The ground was soft, almost sponge-like, and tiny streams of liquid shimmered as they flowed between rocks and plants. It was an ecosystem unlike any he had seen. He came upon a shallow pond, its surface glowing with the reflection of the first stars beginning to appear. As he knelt to inspect it, he noticed movement below the water. Small, fish-like creatures darted through the liquid, their scales sparkling like diamonds. Ethan marveled at their beauty. The planet seemed alive in ways humans had never imagined, every part interconnected, every creature contributing to the balance of life. Returning to the clearing, he found the children had grown more confident, some crawling toward him, others holding his hands as he continued to feed them. One little creature, smaller than the rest, climbed onto his shoulder and rested its tiny head against him. Ethan laughed softly. "You trust me, don't you?" he said. The little one blinked slowly, and in that moment Ethan felt a profound sense of responsibility. The elders gathered once more, signaling that it was nearly night. Ethan could feel the change in the atmosphere. The air seemed to hum, the glow of the children brighter than before, the forest more alive. One elder floated closer, touching a delicate hand to his chest. "The time comes," it said. "The gift you seek will appear, but only when darkness blankets the sky." Ethan's pulse quickened. What kind of gift could this species offer? It could be knowledge, technology, or something completely beyond his understanding. Yet he sensed it was not a gift to be taken lightly. It was something earned, something that required care, patience, and courage. Night fell fully, and the forest shimmered under the light of unfamiliar stars. Ethan stood in the clearing with the children at his feet and the elders surrounding him. The air seemed charged, as if the planet itself were aware of this moment. And then, without warning, a soft vibration began under his feet, gentle at first, then stronger. A faint glow appeared in the center of the clearing. The children stirred, gathering closer, their tiny hands glowing, pointing toward the center. Ethan stepped forward cautiously. There, hovering just above the ground, was a small crystalline object pulsing with a light that seemed to contain the colors of the universe. It was mesmerizing, almost hypnotic, and Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. One of the elders extended its hand toward the crystal. "This is the gift," it said, its voice resonating inside his mind. "It is the knowledge of our kind, the essence of our history, and the hope for our future. It is given to one who shows courage and care. Tonight you are ready." Ethan stared at the crystal in awe. He had expected a simple gesture of gratitude, perhaps a small artifact or tool, but this was beyond anything he could have imagined. He felt a rush of responsibility. The knowledge contained in that crystal could change his life, his world, perhaps even humanity itself. As he reached toward the gift, he felt the children tug at his sleeves, their eyes wide with wonder. The elder's glow intensified, and the forest around him shimmered as if celebrating this moment. Ethan took a deep breath, steadying himself. Whatever lay ahead, he knew he could not falter. He had come to this planet to help, and now the planet was trusting him in return. The night was alive, filled with quiet anticipation. Ethan had crossed into a world of wonder, responsibility, and potential danger. But he was ready. He was human, and in that moment he realized that humanity's greatest strength was not weapons, not technology, but the courage to care, to connect, and to rise to challenges no one else dared face. And so, under the glowing alien sky, Ethan prepared for the gift that would change everything. A gift that would test him, guide him, and reveal the true potential of a human among the stars. Night had fully settled over the alien planet. The stars above sparkled in unfamiliar patterns, and the gentle glow of the forest cast a soft light over the clearing. Ethan stood among the alien children, their tiny hands still resting lightly on his arms and shoulders. The crystal hovered above the ground, pulsing with a quiet rhythm, as if breathing with the planet itself. He could feel a faint energy vibrating through the air, wrapping around him like a protective cocoon. The elders spoke again, their telepathic voices calm but commanding. "To receive the gift, you must first understand our children. Feed them, care for them, learn from them. Only then will the knowledge be shared." Ethan nodded. He had already fed the children once, but now he realized this was more than just giving food. It was about connecting, about building trust. He carefully unpacked more of his supplies: nutrient gels, energy cubes, and soft hydration packets designed for human use. He tried to adjust them for the alien children, studying their reactions closely. The children approached cautiously at first. One small creature sniffed the air, then tentatively tasted a nutrient cube. Its tiny body glowed brighter immediately, and it let out a soft musical chime of delight. Encouraged, the others followed. Ethan smiled as he saw their confidence growing. Each bite they took seemed to fill them with not just energy, but joy. As he fed them, Ethan noticed something extraordinary. Some of the children began to mimic his movements, copying the way he held the nutrient cubes or tilted his head to observe them. Others formed small clusters, communicating silently with each other through subtle gestures and pulses of light. It was clear that their intelligence was far beyond what he had expected. These children were not just passive beings. They were active learners, curious and quick to respond. One of the elders floated closer, extending a hand toward Ethan. "Watch them," it said. "They are more than young. They carry the potential of our kind. They see the world in ways you cannot yet understand. If you connect with them, you will see the gift clearly." Ethan nodded again, trying to focus. He began observing the children more closely. One small girl, barely larger than his hand, seemed fascinated by his visor. She tapped it gently, then stepped back, blinking her large eyes. Another boy child moved toward a small glowing plant and carefully tilted it, as if testing its properties. Ethan realized they were experimenting, learning from everything around them. He remembered the crystal hovering in the center of the clearing and felt a tug of curiosity. What would happen if he was patient and careful? The elder's words echoed in his mind. Only one who shows true care for the children would be worthy of the gift. Ethan knew he had to act with thought, not haste. Hours passed, and Ethan continued to feed and observe the children. He noticed small patterns in their behavior. Some were drawn to light, others to sound, and some seemed fascinated by his gestures and expressions. He experimented using hand movements and soft sounds to communicate. Slowly, the children began to respond, repeating his gestures or producing melodic tones that seemed to mirror his voice. As the night deepened, Ethan saw the elders nod approvingly. "You are learning their ways," one of them said. "The bond grows. Soon the gift will become more than an object, it will be part of you." Suddenly a small child approached him, holding a glowing orb in its tiny hands. It handed it to Ethan carefully, its eyes wide with anticipation. He took the orb, feeling a warmth that was almost like a heartbeat. The orb seemed to react to his touch, pulsing more brightly as he held it. For a moment, Ethan wondered if the children were testing him, seeing if he could handle responsibility. He placed the orb gently on the ground. Immediately, a soft network of light connected it to the crystal hovering in the clearing. The two objects pulsed in harmony, creating a web of glowing threads that seemed to dance in the air. Ethan felt a surge of understanding. Not words, not images, but a feeling of knowledge passing through him. He sensed patterns in the world around him, connections between life forms, energy flows, and subtle rhythms he had never noticed before. The children watched him with wide, expectant eyes. They seemed to understand that something important was happening. Ethan realized that the gift was not just the crystal. It was the interaction, the connection, the bond he was forming with these beings. Every gesture, every act of care strengthened the energy between him and the children. The elders spoke again. "You are ready to understand, but you must first protect. Others may come who do not wish for this bond to exist. Your courage and care will be tested. Only then will the gift reveal its full potential." Ethan's brow furrowed. Protect? Who could possibly come at this hour? The planet seemed so quiet, so peaceful, yet he could feel a subtle tension in the air, a vibration that hinted at unseen watchers. He looked around the clearing, scanning the edges of the forest. Shadows moved, quick, silent, deliberate. He knelt beside the children, holding them close. "Stay near me," he whispered. "I'll keep you safe." The children responded immediately, clustering around him, their small bodies glowing brighter as if drawing strength from his presence. The shadows began to move closer. Ethan could see the faint outlines of figures slipping between the trees, tall, angular shapes that did not resemble the children or their elders. He realized that these were intruders, perhaps seeking the crystal or the unique energy of the children. Without hesitation, Ethan rose, placing himself between the children and the shadows. He had no weapons, only his knowledge, his quick thinking, and the lessons he had learned from the children. As the first of the intruders stepped into the clearing, Ethan activated a device from his ship, a small energy field generator he had brought for emergencies. A barrier of light formed, shimmering in the night. The intruders paused, unsure of what they faced. Ethan took a deep breath, remembering the elder's words. "Protect first, learn second." He studied the intruders carefully. Their movements were calculated but hesitant, as if they did not understand the connection between him and the children. Ethan realized that the bond he had formed was his greatest weapon. He reached out with his mind, focusing on the energy he felt from the children and the crystal. Slowly, the barrier around the intruders grew stronger, creating a pulsating field that pushed them back. The intruders hissed in frustration, unable to penetrate the light. Ethan smiled faintly, realizing that human ingenuity combined with care and understanding could achieve what brute force never could. The children began to respond as well. They released small pulses of light, synchronized with Ethan's energy field. The combined force created a protective dome over the clearing, keeping the intruders at bay. One of the elders moved closer to Ethan, their eyes filled with pride. "See? You protect not through violence alone, but through connection. This is the way of our kind." Hours passed, and the intruders eventually retreated into the shadows, unwilling to confront the bond between Ethan and the children. The forest returned to its quiet, glowing state, and the crystal's light pulsed softly once more. Ethan sank to his knees, exhausted but triumphant. The children nestled against him, their warmth and glow comforting him after the tense encounter. One of the elders floated down beside him, touching his shoulder lightly. "You have shown courage, care, and patience. You are ready to receive more of the gift. Tomorrow the knowledge will begin to flow and your understanding will grow. But remember, this is only the beginning. The universe holds many tests, and humanity's true strength lies in hearts like yours." Ethan nodded, feeling both humbled and proud. He had come to this alien world as an explorer, but he was leaving that night with something far greater, a bond, a responsibility, and the beginning of a knowledge that could change everything. As the first light of a new day approached on the horizon, Ethan lay among the children, watching the stars fade. He understood now that feeding them was not just an act of survival, it was a covenant of trust. And the shocking gift promised by the elders was more than a crystal. It was a bridge between worlds, a testament to the potential of humans to rise not through power alone, but through compassion and courage. And in that quiet alien forest under the glow of countless stars, Ethan felt something he had never felt before, the profound certainty that humanity had a place among the stars, a place defined not by conquest but by heart, mind, and spirit. Night had passed, and the first faint light of dawn spilled over the alien forest. Ethan stirred from a light sleep, the small children still nestled around him, glowing softly like living lanterns. The crystal that had hovered in the clearing all night now lay gently on the ground, its pulsing light slower and steadier, as if breathing calmly. The elders approached him silently, their glowing forms reflecting the early light. "Today," one elder said telepathically, "you will see the gift in its true form. But first you must understand it cannot be taken. It must be learned, and it will teach only those who show patience, courage, and care." Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and humility. He had already felt the connection with the children, and the bond he had created had protected them from the intruders the night before. He was beginning to realize that this gift was not simply a tool or treasure, it was a responsibility, a bridge between species. The elders guided him to the center of the clearing, where the crystal hovered above the soft moss. As Ethan stepped closer, he felt the faint vibrations intensify beneath his feet. Then, without warning, the crystal's light expanded in a spectrum of colors, filling the clearing with a gentle, warm radiance. Ethan blinked against the glow, feeling an odd pressure in his mind, as if the crystal were reaching out to communicate directly with him. He focused, allowing himself to feel rather than think. Images and sensations began to flow through him. He saw flashes of alien cities, structures made of light and energy, floating above the ground, sustained without machines but by understanding the natural flow of energy. He glimpsed their history, the rise of their civilizations and their care for every living being. He sensed their understanding of life as a connected system, every action affecting every other creature. The children gathered around him, their tiny hands touching his arms and shoulders. As they did, he felt the flow of their collective knowledge, subtle and gentle. Their ancestors' experiences, their joys, and even their fears were shared in flashes of understanding. Ethan realized the gift was not just knowledge, it was insight, a way of seeing the world that could change how he thought about energy, survival, and cooperation. "This is more than science," he whispered to himself. "This is life itself." The crystal pulsed again, and Ethan felt an irresistible urge to explore further. He reached out with both hands, and suddenly the clearing transformed before his eyes. He was no longer just seeing. It was as if he were part of the planet, connected to the trees, the streams, the children, and the glowing plants. He could feel the flow of energy from the forest into the children and into himself. He gasped. The planet was alive in a way humans had only imagined in dreams. Its energy was harmonious, balanced, and beautiful. Ethan realized that this knowledge, this gift, could revolutionize how humanity thought about sustainability, cooperation, and the interconnectedness of life. But with that realization came a sudden weight, the responsibility to use it wisely. As he absorbed the knowledge, the crystal shifted, showing him a vision of the intruders from the night before. They were not mindless creatures. They had come with purpose, seeking the power of the crystal for their own ends. Ethan's pulse quickened. If these beings returned with more strength, the children and the planet could be in grave danger. He looked down at the children, who were now fully awake and watching him with large, intelligent eyes. "We have to be ready," he whispered. The children responded instinctively, touching each other and sending small pulses of light that intertwined in patterns above their heads. Ethan realized they were communicating, perhaps strategizing, and he was beginning to understand their language in a new way. The elders floated closer, nodding approvingly. "You see now," one said, "the gift is more than knowledge. It is protection, connection, and understanding. You must combine all three to be worthy of it fully." Ethan spent the rest of the morning learning from the children and the elders. They guided him through small exercises, teaching him to sense the flow of energy in the plants, the animals, and even in the air around him. He learned how to direct it gently, how to strengthen the natural bonds without forcing them. The children responded to his movements, glowing brighter and pulsing in harmony with his energy. Each moment strengthened their connection, and Ethan felt a growing confidence. By midday, the intruders returned. This time there were more of them, moving quickly and silently through the glowing forest. Ethan's heart pounded, but he remained calm, remembering the lessons of the night before. He took a deep breath, centering himself, and felt the energy of the children and the crystal flowing into him. The intruders entered the clearing, their forms angular and dark against the glowing forest. They immediately recognized the crystal and began to move toward it with precision. Ethan raised his hands, activating the energy field device again. The light barrier shimmered into existence, forming a protective dome over the children and the crystal. The intruders paused, hissing and trying to find a way through. But Ethan did not rely on the device alone. He directed the energy he had learned to sense, flowing from the children, the crystal, and even the forest itself. The pulses of light intensified, creating a barrier that was stronger than the night before. The intruders' attempts to break through were futile. They could not match the combination of human ingenuity and the planet's natural energy. Ethan moved among the children, guiding them to use their pulses of light in coordination with his own energy. Together they created a symphony of protective force, each pulse harmonizing with the others. The intruders tried to strike, but their movements were disrupted by the synchronized energy, pushing them back into the shadows of the forest. Finally, the intruders retreated, hissing and chattering among themselves, unwilling to confront the strength of this new bond. Ethan exhaled, relieved but aware that the threat had not vanished entirely. The planet, the children, and the crystal were safe for now, but he knew vigilance would always be necessary. The elders floated around him, their light bright and steady. "You have done well," one said. "You have shown courage, patience, and care. But the greatest lesson is still ahead. The gift is not complete until it is used with understanding, wisdom, and compassion." Ethan nodded, feeling both exhaustion and exhilaration. He had learned that the gift was not a weapon or a tool to be wielded carelessly. It was a living connection, a bridge between humans and the alien species, a way to see the universe differently. He felt humbled by the trust the children and elders had placed in him, and he vowed to honor it. As night approached again, the crystal pulsed gently, calling him to focus. Ethan knelt in the center of the clearing, surrounded by the children and the elders. The light expanded, filling the entire area, and Ethan felt the full weight of the knowledge flowing into him. He could see patterns in the universe, energy flows, life cycles, and the connections between every living thing. It was overwhelming, but Ethan embraced it. He realized that the gift was not meant to make him powerful. It was meant to make him responsible, aware, and compassionate. The children glowed brighter as he absorbed the knowledge, responding to his emotional state, reinforcing the bond between them. By the time the stars appeared again, Ethan had learned more than he ever thought possible. He understood the delicate balance of this alien world, the importance of caring for life, and the power of connection. The crystal hovered gently, acknowledging that he was ready to use its gift wisely. The elders spoke one last time for the night. "Remember, human, you have begun to understand, but the universe is vast and full of tests. Use what you have learned with care, and you will show the true strength of humanity. Your courage, your compassion, and your heart are your greatest weapons. Ethan stood looking at the children gathered around him. He felt a profound sense of purpose and belonging. He had come to this planet seeking to explore, but he had found something far greater, a connection, a responsibility, and a lesson that humanity could rise not just through technology or power, but through courage, care, and understanding. As the night deepened, the clearing glowed softly, the crystal pulsing in rhythm with the children's light. Ethan sat among them, feeling a sense of calm and readiness. He knew the next day would bring more challenges, more lessons, and perhaps more intruders, but he was prepared. He had the gift, the bond, and the understanding that humanity's true strength lay in hearts like his. And under the alien stars, surrounded by the glow of life and knowledge, Ethan felt the promise of a future where humans and alien beings could rise together, connected by care, courage, and the willingness to see the universe through each other's eyes. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the alien forest in deep purples and blues. Ethan stood in the clearing, surrounded by the glowing children, their tiny bodies pulsing in rhythm with the crystal that hovered above the moss. The events of the previous night weighed heavily on him. The intruders had returned once, and though they had been repelled, Ethan knew it was only a matter of time before they came back, stronger and more organized. The elders approached him, their light steady and calm. "They will return," one said telepathically. "You must be ready. The next test is not just protection, it is leadership. The gift will show its full power only through your courage and the strength of your bond with the children." Ethan nodded. He had learned much already, but the thought of facing more intruders, possibly far more dangerous, made his heart race. Yet deep inside he felt a quiet determination. The children depended on him and he would not fail them. He began preparing the clearing. Using the lessons he had learned from the crystal, Ethan directed energy through the plants and trees, creating subtle barriers and traps. He encouraged the children to participate, guiding them to pulse their light in specific patterns, which strengthened the natural defenses of the forest. Each movement, each pulse of glow was coordinated, forming an invisible network that would alert them to any approaching danger. The children were quick learners. They responded immediately to Ethan's instructions, their tiny hands glowing brighter as they synchronized their pulses. It was like conducting an orchestra, and Ethan felt a rush of pride. He realized that human ingenuity, combined with the children's innate abilities, created a defense far stronger than anything he could have done alone. As night fell fully, the forest around the clearing seemed to hold its breath. Shadows moved between the trees, subtle at first, then sharper, more deliberate. Ethan recognized the intruders immediately, tall, angular beings moving silently but with clear intent. They had come not just for the crystal, but for the children themselves. Ethan raised his hands and the energy field around the clearing shimmered into existence. The intruders hesitated, sensing the strength of the bond between him and the children. But they did not retreat this time. Instead, they charged, testing the boundaries of the field, seeking a weakness. Ethan focused, feeling the energy of the children flowing into him, and from him back into the clearing. The pulses of light grew stronger, and he guided them to form patterns that repelled the intruders' movements. The forest seemed to respond, vines and trees subtly shifting to block paths and create obstacles. Every action was a collaboration between human ingenuity, alien instinct, and the natural energy of the planet. The intruders hissed and struck at the barrier, but it held firm. Ethan realized he had to do more than defend. He needed to take initiative. Using his hands and the knowledge he had absorbed from the crystal, he directed energy outward, forming beams of light that did not harm but pushed the intruders back. Each pulse was precise, calculated, and in harmony with the children's energy. The intruders regrouped, circling the clearing, trying to find a way in. Ethan glanced at the children. "Stay calm. Trust me," he whispered. They responded, their glow intensifying, forming a protective aura around him. Ethan realized that the true strength of the gift was not the crystal itself. It was the connection, the trust and the courage that flowed between them. One of the intruders lunged toward the children, and Ethan acted without hesitation. He directed a concentrated pulse of energy that blocked the intruder mid-step. The being recoiled, unable to penetrate the combined force of human and alien power. Ethan's heart pounded, but he remained focused, guiding the children's pulses to create an unbroken barrier. The battle continued, each wave of the intruders testing their defenses. Ethan coordinated every movement, anticipating the intruders' strategies, adapting quickly. He realized that human creativity, thinking outside the patterns, improvising, reacting to unexpected threats, was a key advantage. The intruders were powerful but rigid in their approach. Ethan's flexibility, combined with the children's natural energy, allowed them to outmaneuver the attackers at every turn. Hours passed. The clearing was illuminated by the synchronized pulses of the children and the crystal, forming a radiant dome that pushed the intruders farther and farther back. Ethan's voice, soft but firm, guided them, encouraging them to trust the bond they had formed. "We are stronger together," he said, and the children responded, their light brightening as if echoing his words. Finally, the intruders retreated, vanishing into the shadows of the forest. The clearing fell silent, the only sound the gentle pulsing of the crystal and the breathing of the children. Ethan sank to his knees, exhausted but relieved. He had protected them, and in doing so he had grown closer to the gift than ever before. The elders floated toward him, their expressions proud. "You have faced true danger," one said. "You have not only defended the children, but you have led them. You have shown the strength of humanity, not in force alone, but in courage, care, and wisdom. The gift now flows more fully into you." Ethan felt a warmth spread through his chest as the crystal pulsed in response. Images and sensations flooded his mind. New knowledge about the planet's energy, the interconnectedness of life, and ways to enhance natural systems without causing harm. He could see patterns in the world, connections between creatures and plants, and even glimpses of how these systems could be applied beyond this planet. As he absorbed this deeper knowledge, the children gathered around him, their glow harmonizing with the crystal. Ethan realized that the gift was not static. It grew with his understanding, with his actions, and with his connection to the children. The bond was living, evolving, and it would continue to grow as long as he nurtured it. The elders spoke again. "Remember, human, the greatest challenges lie ahead. There will be others who seek to take, to destroy, or to disrupt. But if you act with courage, intelligence, and care, humanity can rise above all threats. You have begun to understand the true power of your kind." Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had come to this alien world to explore, but he had discovered far more: a responsibility, a bond, and the realization that humans, with their creativity, courage, and compassion, could achieve greatness beyond imagination. He spent the rest of the night teaching the children small techniques to strengthen their natural abilities. They practiced directing pulses of light, sensing the energy of the forest and forming protective patterns. Ethan guided them patiently, encouraging them and learning from their instinctive knowledge in return. Each moment reinforced the connection, making their combined strength even greater. By the time dawn approached, the clearing glowed softly, the crystal pulsing gently in rhythm with the children's light. Ethan looked around, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment and purpose. The intruders had been defeated, but more importantly, he had discovered something deeper: the potential for humans to rise not through aggression, but through courage, intelligence, and care. As he sat among the children, watching the stars fade with the approaching light, Ethan understood that the universe was full of challenges and tests, but he also knew that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to connect, to learn, and to rise to meet those challenges. And in that quiet alien forest, surrounded by the glow of life, energy, and knowledge, Ethan felt a certainty he had never known before. The bond he had formed, the gift he had earned, and the courage he had shown would guide him and humanity to a future filled with hope, connection, and the promise of greatness among the stars. The first rays of dawn broke across the alien horizon, spilling soft light over the clearing where Ethan stood. The glowing children gathered around him, their tiny bodies pulsing gently in response to the crystal that hovered just above the moss. The elders floated near, their luminous forms radiating calm approval. The intruders had retreated for good, or at least for now, and the clearing felt peaceful, yet charged with a quiet energy, as if the planet itself were watching. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the combined energy of the children, the crystal, and the forest flowing through him. The gift was now fully integrated with his mind and spirit. The knowledge of the alien civilization, the ability to sense energy flows, and the understanding of the children's unique connection to the planet, all of it felt like an extension of himself. He realized that the gift was not just for him alone. It was a bridge, a responsibility to share and protect. One of the elders approached, its glow soft and warm. "You have learned courage, care, and wisdom. But now you must learn balance. The universe is vast, and knowledge without restraint can harm as much as it helps. You must use what you have learned wisely." Ethan nodded solemnly. "I understand," he said telepathically. "I will protect them, and I will share only what is needed, never to harm." The children, sensing the seriousness in his tone, gathered closer. They touched his arms and shoulders, sending pulses of light that resonated with the crystal. Ethan felt a wave of emotion, pride, responsibility, and a deep connection that went beyond words. The bond he had formed was unbreakable. Suddenly, a soft vibration ran through the ground. Ethan's gaze snapped to the edges of the clearing. The intruders were not returning, but another presence approached. A group of travelers unlike anything he had seen. They were smaller than the previous intruders, almost fragile in appearance, yet their movements were careful, deliberate. They carried no weapons, only small devices glowing faintly. The elders communicated instantly. "They are seekers. They come for knowledge, not conquest. You must guide them." Ethan stepped forward. "Welcome," he said, speaking aloud for the first time to these new beings. "We will help you, but you must respect the children and the planet." The seekers paused, sensing the authority in Ethan's energy. One of them floated closer, extending a tiny, glowing hand. Ethan mirrored the gesture, sending pulses of light that intertwined with theirs. A silent understanding passed between them, trust, respect, and a shared goal. For the next few hours, Ethan guided the seekers, showing them how to sense the energy of the forest, how to interact with the children without causing fear, and how to harmonize with the natural rhythms of the planet. The children responded beautifully, teaching the seekers in their own way, their glowing hands pulsing in patterns that seemed to carry information directly into the minds of the visitors. Ethan marveled at the efficiency of the process. Human intelligence, combined with the children's natural abilities and the crystal's guidance, created a system of teaching and learning that was instantaneous and harmonious. He realized that this was the true power of the gift, not just knowledge, but the ability to connect, to guide, and to create understanding between species. As night approached again, Ethan and the children returned to the clearing's center. The crystal pulsed gently, its light softer now but filled with depth. It seemed to acknowledge the progress made, the harmony established, and the courage shown. Ethan reached out, placing his hands near it, feeling a warmth that spread through his body. Images and sensations filled his mind, visions of alien cities thriving in perfect balance, forests teeming with life, and the children growing strong under careful guidance. "This is the future," Ethan whispered, "a future we can protect and nurture." The elders floated closer, their glow intense yet calming. "You have achieved what few of your kind could. You have protected, guided, and learned. You have proven the true strength of humanity, courage, care, and wisdom. The gift is now fully yours." Ethan closed his eyes, letting the energy flow through him one last time. He could feel the children's pulses, the forest's rhythm, and the crystal's knowledge intertwining into a single, harmonious field. He understood that the bond was permanent, a living connection that would grow as long as he honored it. Suddenly, the clearing began to shimmer. The energy from the crystal and the children spread outward, illuminating the surrounding forest. Ethan realized that the gift was not just for him or the children. It was a blessing for the planet itself. Life here would thrive, guided by understanding and care, safe from intruders and balanced by the wisdom now shared among them all. The children danced in circles, their light brightening in celebration. Ethan laughed softly, feeling a joy unlike anything he had known. He had come to this planet seeking adventure, but he had found something far greater, a connection, a purpose, and the knowledge that humanity's greatest strength lay not in power, but in compassion, intelligence, and courage. As the stars appeared overhead, Ethan reflected on everything he had experienced. The intruders had tested him, the children had taught him, and the crystal had opened his mind to possibilities beyond imagination. He realized that humans could rise among the stars not through conquest or domination, but through understanding, care, and the willingness to connect across worlds. The elders approached one last time. "The bond is complete," one said. "You are now a guardian of our children, our knowledge and our planet. Use what you have learned wisely, and humanity will shine among the stars." Ethan bowed his head respectfully. "I promise. I will protect, I will guide, and I will honor this gift." The children clustered around him, their light pulsing softly against his arms. For a moment, Ethan felt a deep peace, a sense of belonging that transcended species, planet, and star system. He knew that he had been given something extraordinary, not for himself alone, but for the future of humanity and the alien children alike. As the first light of morning crept across the horizon, Ethan gazed up at the sky. The crystal's glow dimmed slightly, settling into a steady rhythm, as if resting but always present. He felt the children stir around him, ready for the day ahead, and he knew that whatever challenges awaited, they would face them together. The bond between human and alien had been forged in courage, nurtured by care and solidified through wisdom. Ethan understood that this was the true meaning of the gift. Not simply knowledge, not simply power, but connection, an enduring link that could shape the future. And as he stood among the glowing children, under the alien stars, Ethan felt a profound truth settle within him. Humanity's strength was limitless, not because of weapons or technology, but because of the heart, the mind, and the courage to rise to any challenge. No matter how alien the world, with the bond complete, the intruders gone, and the crystal's light shining softly over the forest, Ethan knew that a new chapter had begun. For him, for the children, and for humanity among the stars. The gift was no longer just a promise. It was a living reality, a testament to the courage and care that could unite worlds and elevate a species. And so, under the alien sky, surrounded by life, energy, and knowledge, Ethan took his first step into a future brighter than any star he had ever seen, ready to protect, guide, and nurture the gift that had been entrusted to him. A gift that would ensure that humans could rise, not through force but through the enduring power of heart, mind, and courage.